Hi, this is James Hahn with Real Life Rosary, and this is a daily meditation for real life. Did you ever have that friend in school, probably in grade school, who came up and said, "Hey, I got a secret. I'm going to tell you the secret. But you got to promise me you won't tell anybody. You got to promise me, because I promised that person that I wouldn't tell anyone, so you have to promise you won't tell anyone." And so we promise because we want to hear the secret. Usually we make some sort of a small oath, like we'll pinky swear, or I swear on the Bible, or cross my heart, hope to die, let's spit and shake on it, something like that. We make all these little oaths. Eventually those oaths dissipate. We know that it was silly, there was nothing there. There's not too many of us walking around, "Hey, what happened to your eye?" Well, you know, I didn't keep my oath to my buddy, and I had to poke my eye out with a pen. Not too many of us do that. And our oaths, our promises kind of go by the wayside. Unfortunately, as adults, this is happening more and more today. We tell folks we're going to do something, and then we make excuses. We say, "Well, yeah, boss man, I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock. And then 15 minutes after 9, we stroll in and say, "Oh gosh, it was the traffic," or "my car wouldn't start," and some of them may be legitimate excuses, but too often they're just poor planning. Not being all in into our job or into our commitments that we make to others, even very important ones, maybe to our children or to our spouse. This is the world we live in today, unfortunately. We can change that, obviously, by living the way we're supposed to. But this is the world we live in today, where those commitments don't mean a whole lot anymore to many people. And so it's very difficult for us to understand this story from the first reading today of this man who was an Israelite, who was fighting for the Israelites and wanting God to bless him and deliver his enemies into his hands. And Japheth said to the Lord that if he would deliver his enemies into his hands, that Japheth would offer to God a sacrifice, and that sacrifice would be the first person to leave his home upon his arrival back from war. Now, to us, that's like the most ridiculous thing we'd ever heard, right? One, it's human sacrifice. Two, just you don't know what's going to happen to make those kind of crazy vows. I've made crazy vows to God before too, and I regret that. and I do. But Japheth does this, and he goes into battle, he comes back, and he's victorious, and everyone's excited and celebrating, and even his daughter comes out the front door, tambourines, rejoicing. She's the first person. She's his only daughter. She's his only child. So what does Japheth do? Say, "Oh, I'll make excuses." No, well, you know, that's not what I really meant. I meant like an animal, or I meant like grain sacrifice. That's what I meant when the first grain that came out of the door. No, Japheth does not do that. He made a vow, and he's going to stick to it. So he rends his garments, he cries out, you know, "Daughter, this is what I said, and this is what I have to do." And she's okay with it, supposedly. And so she asked for permission to go off into the woods for 2 months before this happens, and to be with her friends and whatnot. And so when she comes back, he does what he vowed to do. And I'm sure that he was hoping for an Abraham experience, you know, like he had the sword up and then, you know, an angel was going to stop him, but it didn't happen. Or he was hoping that maybe out in the wilderness that she would be attacked by wild beasts and he wouldn't have to do that. But it didn't happen. He kept his vow, though, which is amazing. Even a vow so strong. And we see this type of thing all throughout the Old Testament, where people make vows and they stick to them. No matter what, they make a vow to God and they stick to them. That's very difficult for us to understand in this day and age, that someone could be so all in for God that they would do anything like that. It shouldn't be strange to us, but it is. And in today's gospel, we see someone who is not all in, who is just kind of working around the edges and trying to straddle the fence, if you will. We hear the story of the wedding feast, where the king invites the chosen people and they don't want to come. So then he invites the people who are just out and about, the sinners, the tax collectors, all those folks, and invites them into this wedding feast. But there's one particular person there who does not have a wedding garment on, and we can suppose that that was the order of the day, that you had to put on this special vestment to be at the wedding feast. So he stands out as someone who does not have this on. And I can sympathize. There's been situations in my life that I didn't want to wear things. crazy things. Things that I thought made me look ridiculous, uniforms and whatnot. But this person does not have this on. He's not all in. He's not totally committed to what he's doing, to this wedding feast. When I was an altar server many, many moons ago, we wore a cassock, and we also wore the white surplice, or occasionally the red or pink surplice, which I did not like, either one. I wanted the prestige of being an altar server, and wearing the cassock, and being there in front of people, and serving the Lord, but I didn't want to wear that white surplice. I wasn't all in. I didn't want to fully commit to that. And that's what we see in this story. This person does not want to fully commit. And so he's cast out of the wedding feast. And it seems harsh, but God is faithful to his vows, and he's asking us to be faithful to our vows as well. He's wanting us to be all in. He's wanting us to be all in our heart, in our body, in our finance, in our soul, in our joy, in our sorrows, our sufferings, all in. Not just coming and picking and choosing what we want to believe, what we want to think, but all in, everything that he wants. So today, the challenge for you and for me is to ask yourself, what is holding me back from being all in for God? Now, I'm not asking you to make a crazy vow like Japheth. You know, I'm not saying, you know, God, if you let me win the lottery, I'll do an hour of adoration for the rest of my life. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. We don't hold those vows like that anymore as much as we should. Make God little vows. Make him little promises that you can keep each and every day. God, I'm going to say this prayer today, and then do it. God, I'm going to say these 2 prayers tomorrow, and then do it. And build that relationship, build that trust, build those promises and those vows. So whatever it is that's holding you back from being all in, ask for help. Don't make crazy vows. Don't offer to, you know, slaughter the firstborn, as much as they might get on your nerves. Make little promises. Little promises to God in your heart that you're going to do this, and then build on those. That's how a relationship is built. May God bless you. Have an awesome day. This is James Hahn with Real Life Rosary, and a daily meditation for real life.